We are the Hollywood Paranormal Detectives.
You little HPD addicts, you've been fiending for 2 weeks. You've been waiting for it. We're back. I'm sorry for the break. We had so much to do. We were preparing for PEX Paracon. We were editing shows. We were dodging bullets. HPD was working hard to bring you what you want, and that is hearing from your favorite paranormal people. I'm going to bring Mandy in. Here she is. I haven't said in a while. Our own little groundhog, Mandy Maisie. Woo!
Hello.
Mandy, what tornado have we just stepped out of?
It has been a whirlwind for sure.
It has been a whirlwind. We just got back from PEX Paracon, Virginia City. Amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun. Did you have a good time?
I had so much fun, and I had an emotional roller coaster, and I had a lot happen.
Yeah.
A lot happened in my life. We made a new friend.
We
and we're
did.
gonna bring him up. Derek from Ghosting Paranormal. Here he is. Derek.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up? Guys, what a weekend. To fit that many just even guests and like talent alike, that many paranormal people that are interested in one spot is just sort of like kind of ups the blood flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not very often around folks who give a rip about the paranormal. So, like, being around people who thought it was cool and were totally nerding out with it, you just felt like you were amongst people you've known for a long time. You know,
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And it was like
Sure.
we're all from the same planet, and our ships got to land in the same town for once. We all speak our same alien language, and we all understand stuff. Oh, the new reality! Your bestie's here.
Get out of here.
Get out of town. These guys.
Hi,
I didn't
everyone.
But I didn't put on my makeup.
I haven't done my hair. I haven't undone my hair since I left. It's that much gel. So let's get started. Ghosting Paranormal. How did you go from just a normal kid to being interested in the paranormal? Was it, you have a situation, a movie, an experience? What was your first experience? And then go into like, how do you want to start investigating?
Yeah, I mean, how long do we have here?
As long as you want, brother.
So when I came out of my mother's womb, it all started. No,
There were two doctors there, and one was invisible.
right. No, I mean, I've always been like existential. I was kind of like one of those weird kids who was sort of like existentially concerned. I would ask my mom questions about like, well, what would happen if I was bleeding from my stomach and I tripped, and like all these horrible scenarios. And my mom's probably half thinking like, what the hell happened to this kid? And the other side of it was she was just getting so sick of being pummeled with death questions that I remember one day we were in the car and like, Mom, what would happen if I started coughing up blood? And she's like, well, honey, we'd put a white blanket over your head and kiss you goodbye. And then that was like the end of my line of questioning. I'm like, okay, I think I'm starting to get under her skin.
Hilarious.
But anyway, so it all started with like that sort of existential awareness, but it really came to a head when I was 10. If I could be a bummer for a second, my dad died when I was 10, and I was forced to confront like finitude, and the fact that there's something more that happens than meets the eye. Yeah. And I'd say it set me down the path, losing my father at that young age. And so from then on, man, it was just like curiosity, fascination, exploration, religion, spirituality. I grew up in a very ecumenical home. So like you could find, these Native American medicine cards next to the Bible. And it was just a very open and warm environment. And so
the topic wasn't off the table.
No, it was always there in the background, and it was something I always cared about. I always wondered like what happened, like what happens? Is there more to this? And it makes you wonder, like people just disappear And like, okay, well, where'd they go? Well, what happens? You know, and so that set the course, and then from there, I mean, it was just a matter of exploration, right? Like finding out about aliens and finding out about ghosts, and I was getting into all the early ghost hunting shows, you know, like Taps back in the day, and you know, Paranormal
Yeah.
State and Ghost. I didn't really like Ghost Adventures that much, but you know, that whole path back in 2000. I used to watch John Edwards. You guys remember him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And I'd
I'm
read.
getting
Silly-
I'm getting a
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah.
Someone named Rick. Someone named Rick.
Is there a man in the audience? Anybody? Anybody with a male genitalia?
My favorite. I remember a very specific one where he was talking. Oh, I'm getting something from your father, and he goes, "Well, what is he saying?" Oh, he's like, "You don't want to know where your father is," and it was like, "Oh shit!" Like the one time that like I think Daddy went the other way, he kind of like just goes, "You don't want to know where your father is."
Your dad is
On-
in extreme
and
agony.
he just goes on to the
Not
next
doing
one,
well.
and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
You know, you ever wonder if there's like the loved ones that passed away that nobody wants to hear from? You know, they're like, "Oh, is there somebody with an Uncle Ray here?" I'm like, "Oh, not Uncle
Oh,
Ray.
yeah, they
Yeah,
Happens
he's-
all the time.
He's saying the N-word right now, and let's not give Uncle Ray the microphone, okay? Let's just let him go back to where he was." But yeah, so you know, that set the course, and then from there it just became a deep-seated passion of mine to like explore these things. But what started happening was I was in college and I just started drinking a lot, and then that just basically carried on like that until about a year ago. Just blinked and 10 years had gone by, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to party anymore. I don't want to like hit it hard like I'd been doing it, and I would like to find more joy and excitement in life. And
yeah.
I decided to cut out the booze. You know, I'm like, 'cause all I do is like hang out with my friends, and we go to movies and drink. We go to bonfires and drink. Anything we did, it was just like, let's just drink and go for bike rides, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
God, it's just like numbing my passion for things. And so I decided to quit drinking and replace that hobby with new ones. I started
Hey,
metal
Brian.
detecting. Hey, it's Brian.
Hi. Hang on, I'm working out some technical difficulties.
It's all right.
You guys just keep going.
Brian is in Australia joining us.
Nah, Brian's at the space station. Hey, Brian.
So you just pretty much you got so social that you kind of forgot about your dreams from a kid.
Yeah, you know, life happens and you kind of get locked into habits and routines. And I think a part of, you know, I remember sitting with my buddies going, you guys remember when like we used to have fun before we started drinking? Like, what were we even doing? I'm like, I don't even know, you know? But it's been, you know, some people call it recovery. I just call it rediscovery. I'm rediscovering the things that I was super passionate about, and finding new things I'm passionate about. And so, ghost hunting started this year, man. I started like officially, I would say around February-ish. So I'm relatively new, but I feel like I have almost like a PhD in it from all the content I've consumed. You know, I'm sure as you can all relate yourselves.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah.
so what made you get that first recorder? Have you had an experience or anything before you went hunting? On your Instagram and stuff, you say you're a skeptic.
Yeah. Yeah, we can weave that narrative into here too. I mean,
Yeah, I always say that if we weren't all skeptical, we wouldn't investigate. Like if we absolutely believe blindly, we wouldn't need equipment. You know, if we're searching for proof is because we are skeptical, you know.
Yeah, and skepticism is, I think skepticism is inherent to any, like, even if you believe in ghosts, right? You should be skeptical of the information you're consuming or capturing, just because it could be a number of things, right? So, I am skeptical, and so I had another part of my journey, which was kind of around the becoming a professor. I was going to get my master's degree and become a college professor in religion and theology. And what happened is the more I studied religion, I became agnostic. And so for me, agnostic means, you know, in the absence of certainty, I can't affirm a belief in God. And I apply the same thing to ghosts. You know, in the absence of certainty, I can't affirm a belief in the paranormal or ghosts, but I believe in the possibility of it, and it's within that window of possibility that I do all of my exploring. And so, have I had experiences growing up? Yeah, I've had some pretty interesting experiences. You know, nothing that could say definitively yes, these things exist, but you know, I'm strange light anomalies, noises. After my dad passed away, a really vivid dream with him. You know, things like that that I think would fall within the paranormal, if you will.
Yeah.
I have to say, one of the most profound experiences that I had was regarding this whole question of God. Does God exist? And I remember when I was really struggling, and while I was in college, you know, I prayed. I'm like, God, if you're out there, just give me a sign. Like, a text message would be great, but I know that's unreasonable, so I'll be a little realistic. Just any sign that you think you know I'd recognize. And so I woke up the next morning. I'm driving to my college class, and that morning as I'm driving again, I'm like, God, again, just a reminder, give me a sign. Keep my eyes open. And no sooner did I utter those words, I look up and there's a big new billboard that went up that morning. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. And then in the bottom right, it says Red Cross, please donate. You know, so, but the timing was impeccable, and it really, really made me laugh, actually.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
the
you know, so
the old joke, the guys that are drowning and saying, God save me, and then a boat goes by, no, God will save me, another boat goes by, good, oh, God will save me, and then God shows up after he drowns. Well, I sent 2 boats, you know.
yeah, right, exactly.
You
No,
gotta keep your eyes open.
exactly. I mean, and it's funny. I talk about the God stuff here only to make the correlation to the paranormal, because you gotta keep your eyes open. You gotta be open to what's occurring around you. And one of my endeavors has been to really spend less time in my analytical mind and enter into my body more. I'm not sure if that's something that we spoke about at PEX or not, but I'm a very logical, analytical, rational person that stays a lot in the head space. And you could be, you know, stabbing me in the arm, and I'd just be thinking about, like, oh, what's it all about, though? What's the meaning of life? You know, like,
He's
like,
not trying to kill me with these stabs. These are wounding stabs, probably
Yeah.
from his own self-hatred.
yeah, it's like, just step into your body, dude. So that's what I've been trying to do here, and like feeling goosebumps or feeling something touch me, or, you know, just like Mandy when we were at PEX, and we went into that, like you and Jade were sitting, you know, in the chair, and I went into that back room. Like, I was totally feeling like the goosebumps on my body, and I was like, all right, this is what they mean, I think, when they talk about chills and shit, because I'm feeling it.
He
Which
was
room was that?
begging. It was the last night of PEX. We stayed behind at the chapel to investigate, and Derek
Yeah.
was like,
Little
me and
back-
Jade kept getting fucked with, and he's over there just like, please touch me.
That little back crypt kind of area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that little closet
yeah.
area.
And Cody was doing the whole red goggle sensory dep, and
That was insane.
Sean was over there just like, don't touch the ladies, and I'm over here going, but you can touch me, you just can't follow me home.
That's Brian's always like, push me, push. Like, as soon as someone gets touched, me.
Yeah, so we're like, I got a knot right here. If there's any ghost that wants to touch me,
That's a
free to
bit of
come on
evidence I'm still holding out for. I want to get touched and have it be completely obvious that it couldn't be anything but something touching me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, right? That's like the holy grail for me, at least
I
in
have
terms
not,
of.
not had that experience, and I'm looking for it.
I think the most touch I've ever had was with Los Angeles ghost researchers in the closet of the Glen Tavern Inn. I felt there was a hand on my back, and I thought it was my wife. And you know, I'm sitting there with the spirit box, kind of my back out of the closet, and I thought my wife was standing behind me. And then I kind of look over my shoulder, and she's on the other side of the room, and there'd been a hand on my back the whole time. And then I just sort of like, oh my God, that was pretty awesome.
Brian, I have a plan, but here's the plan. So when I was ghost hunting on my birthday, I booked one of the most haunted locations here in Minnesota, the Wabasha Street Caves, and brought my girlfriend with me. And you know, I would say she's way more sensitive to these things than I am, because she saw an apparition. She got her butt touched. And Brian, my idea is this: you and I both dress up as women, and I think we'll get touched because I only hear of women getting touched on investigations.
He offers that idea very often.
Damn it. Well, then I'm not original.
Maybe I just want to dress like a woman. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
We're gonna
maybe.
do it, Brian. I'll put the suit back on, Brian, if you put on the dress.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's got to be legs to that. I mean, I think there's something there.
So, but anyway, you're saying you go into most places with a very scientific approach, more of a tech than a spirit, correct? Because that's what I always say. You're either spirit side, full Patty, or you're, photon cameras, full Brandon Alvarez.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
start on one side.
I'm definitely more on the equipment side. Like, I love the equipment side. I've got some different tools that I really geek out on, and there's more I have in my list. So, and I'm trying to be more on the, I guess, spirit side as we go through this. But I'm getting there, man. After this weekend at PEX, I'm telling you, I'm getting closer.
I feel like even I'm very tech, but I get more and more spiritual and see more. The more I believe I'm talking to someone I can't see rather than I'm just talking to nothing. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And I haven't made that transition yet because it does a lot of times feel like I'm just like, especially if I'm investigating alone, I'm just like talking. Like, I really hope something's here. Otherwise, I'm just
you have to almost
idiot.
That's almost the faith. You have to believe there are invisible people in this room waiting for the right phrase to bring them forward. And if you don't believe, I don't think they'll ever. Like I always say, it's the confidence you need to pick up a girl at the bar. It's the same kind of. You got to believe that they're there. You say the right line to get the reaction you want.
Well, I was never any good at that. So next ghost hunt, I do like, hey, what happens when a polar bear sits on the ice? It breaks the ice. Hi, I'm Derek. Don't mean any harm. I'm
That's
here
perfect.
That's a good
The usual stuff's not working.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's true though, right? Like, I think there is something to be said of, I try to come about it from an empathetic standpoint, right? Where I'm imagining myself stuck behind or left behind, what have you, and all these people are coming in and demanding things of me, asking me questions, touch this, don't do that, and I think half the time I would just be like, get the hell out of here, man. I don't want to fucking talk to you. I don't want to do what you're saying. And so I think if you're going into a space just being like super kind and super authentic and warm and just trying to exude warm and lovable energy, I think that's going to help a lot. And I think probably, Brian, for you, you're just kind of an evil asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't accept the evil part.
Yeah. I'm kidding, Brian. You seem like a great guy.
I'm more of a lovable asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I think that's how we all bonded. I think we all kind of seem like all lovable assholes.
Oh, totally.
But it's definitely something where you have to have the respect, because it is a serious subject, that this is someone who doesn't have what you have, and that's the ability to breathe and let your blood pump. And it was weird this weekend seeing so many people kind of having so much fun with it, but then you start thinking, we're still talking to dead people. You can't be too happy to talk to someone who's had tragedy. But it definitely, you have to focus on what you say to get that right evidence. Now, for gathering evidence, what's your favorite thing to do? Just EVP? I saw your little sound. What was the one you were using, like a tube?
Oh, the infrasonic sound recorder.
I like that. Brian, we got to get that. Tell us about that thing. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, so that's just kind of stemming from the theory that different spiritual energies resonate in different frequencies, sound frequencies. I tell you, I went down the sound rabbit hole when I was doing a lot of research into ghost hunting before I even started it myself. There was a guy named David Roundtree, and I think he's been quite ostracized from the paranormal community due to some some issues. I don't know. But anyway, he did one cool experiment that, among others, I thought was really neat. He put a digital voice recorder in a vacuum pump, and was able to record EVPs in a vacuum where sound waves can't travel in a vacuum. And so it was just kind of showing some unique things that happen with EVPs. And so anyway, I bought an infrasonic sound recorder and an ultrasonic sound recorder. And I wanted to try recording those simultaneously with just a regular digital voice recorder to see if there was any continuity or discrepancies between what was recorded.
And see what picks up at all, if there's any difference.
Yeah, well, the thing is with infrasound, you can get hits from HVAC system kicking in, doors slamming shut. You can get readings from those types of things. And with ultrasonic sound, there's bats in the area. I mean, they let off ultrasonic sound. And so, nothing is certain, right? It's always just a matter of trying to collect as much compelling evidence simultaneously as possible that leads to the case, right? The case for ghosts.
So it's always hunting that proof. So where have you gotten to go? If you're just now starting to explore and starting to spread out, what are some locations you've been to, and what would you say is the most active place you've seen since cutting your teeth?
Yeah, I started at not a well-known, but certainly among the paranormal community, there's a haunted house here in Minnesota that allows you access to do investigations. I think the issue is that there's tons of haunted locations in Minnesota, but getting access to them is always the hard part. It's probably even more so where you all are at. But I've been to some residential stuff. I went to the Wabasha Street Caves, which was probably the most active. So that used to be it's really cool. It's these like caves that are carved into the side of limestone foothills that used to be indoor mushroom farm in the late 1800s. And then it migrated to a speakeasy during Prohibition. And there's a lot of mob activity and murders, and there's bodies buried back there. And now it's a venue in St. Paul, Minnesota. That was awesome, man. I'd say that was probably the coolest place I've investigated thus far. But then I've done, I went to Squirrel Cage Jail in Iowa. I went to Edinburgh Manor in Iowa, an asylum. And so a couple different mansions around, some old mansions that I got access to.
There's a lot of those up there. I worked on a movie a few years ago. There was a bunch of big mansion tours that were all on the haunted list that you could take. And there was the Judy Garland house she grew up in is supposedly haunted by Judy Garland. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't. But interestingly, I live right next door to Paisley Park, where Prince lived and died. Like I'm within like a mile from that. And every time I go by it, I'm like, I really want to like just kind of sit outside with a REM pod and maybe a DVR, just to do a little EVP session.
Yeah, one of my bucket list places is Graceland. Just to get a very very Elvis EVP would be so great. EVP. Well, just like that. What's your bucket list? Where are some places that like you cannot wait to go head out and check?
As a kid, I've always wanted, since I was a kid, when I think I was watching I don't know, one channel or something. Remember what channel Ripley's Believe It or Not was on back in the day? Like whatever channel that was, I remember seeing a documentary on the Winchester house. Yeah. I've always wanted to go there just because it just always looks so cool. But, I don't know if I have one specific location in mind. That one, certainly. What I've found is that I kind of want to go to places that aren't on everybody's radar, like the more I'm starting to investigate, I'm going to places where like days and weeks later, I'm just seeing tons of people posting their investigations from there, and it's like, I don't know, man, if I was a ghost and people are asking me questions and then asking me questions constantly, I'm going to stop answering them, So like, let's go to a place where no one's getting asked because they're going to want to talk would be my guess. Yeah.
Well, I remember, Brian, do you remember when we met Amy Allen? And she says investigation almost becomes a magnet. Because imagine that no one can hear your voice, and then you hear about the house down the street that everybody goes to talk to. So all the ghosts from the area might start kind of going to that spot so they can be heard, So the ones that want to communicate get attracted to the locations.
It's an interesting theory.
and because Amy Allen, she was like, I can't stay too long because I start to get ghosts from a mile away, 2 miles away, and it starts to break up the evidence of the location I'm at because they all start trying to talk to her. But that's just her as a really open medium. Do you think that's the same, Mandy? Do you think mediums can be like a magnet for spirits?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I've heard some things about Amy out about her, so I'm not too sure if I agree with what she's saying. But yeah, it can definitely be a magnet for spirits. I think she just wanted to leave.
She
just wanted to go.
Well, she says that about every location. She goes, I can't show up too early or leave too soon because if I show up too early, I'll start getting fake people because they'll just be coming. And well, yeah, she's wanting to Zach it. She just wants to.
No, that's not how that works.
Skype call.
I mean, that could be her experience. I don't know, but
I haven't seen any of the new ones. But someone said Zach just like Skypes in on the shows now. Is that true?
Yeah. So he's not.
He really doesn't.
Yeah, he's not a part of he's partially a part of the show, but it's mostly Aaron, Billy, and Jay, and then Zach zooms in.
I mean, that's probably for the best anyway.
Are you guys working?
It's actually
okay.
cool to see the other guys.
Right.
I love Aaron. Aaron,
lead it.
I always compliment him on the way he works the camera, the way he'll turn while he asks a question, and he'll turn while he walks, and he's his own editing and director while he moves, and he gets so much good footage. It's really nice. I like Aaron. I think he's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, it's one thing to just paranormal investigate, right? It's another thing entirely to be a content creator. And for me, this has been an incredible journey so far of well, how the hell do I even ghost hunt? What are my tactics there?
Yeah.
And from there, what am I holding the camera, taking pictures and video editing and trying to find music and then doing the whole posting and stuff. I mean, that's just I feel like Jasmine and I'm on a carpet with Aladdin.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember our first things, we had 3 cameras pointing at one device, and that's all I had. So all the footage was just this device on the table while we all talked.
Maybe one person should hold
and then you start going, well, let me put somebody in a corner. Let me put somebody and you start changing it up. I remember the first 3 or 4 were just us all filming one REM pod, and all talking at the same time. We used to do that all the time too.
It takes some getting used to. And I mean, it's one thing when you're doing it up by yourself, if you're doing a solo investigation, but when
you mostly work alone.
I would say mostly. Well, I mean, I'm relatively new, but yeah, I mean, I think I've done a handful of solo investigations, and then I don't have my staple. You guys got a team, and you guys got the folks that you work with. I kind of got people coming and going, and I'm looking for my the peanut butter to my jelly.
Oh, you'll find it. It's difficult to find just someone that'll go. You know what I mean? Everyone likes it and wants to go, but that'll actually go.
Well, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of money and a lot of work.
I brought my buddy to 2 investigations, and he was just exhausted by the end of it. He's like, this is so much work. We're just hauling around heavy ass bags. It's hot out. There's no air conditioning.
Yeah.
We were at Edinburgh Manor and then the Squirrel Cage jail in Iowa, and we're just getting gear set up and doing all this shit. And then we're actually investigating, and then it's super late. We're just exhausted. Now you got to pack that shit up, and God, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work. This is not just what the movies.
Now this weekend you met a lot of people and got to investigate with a lot of people. Whose style did you like? Who did you meet that you were like, that makes sense? Almost, flicked off a light switch in your head, or who was your favorite person to work with? Yeah, I mean,
I won't say I got a diverse exposure, because I basically was fangirling the new reality and Jade from Ghost Club Paranormal. Those are the 2 that I spent most of my time with, and they were leading a lot of the investigations together. And so It was great to meet Jade in person. If you all don't follow Ghost Club Paranormal, please do, because she's awesome. And she was one of the first people I reached out to. And she was so kind and helpful with, all kinds of advice, from editing to equipment and everything. So that was my first time meeting her in person, which was awesome, because I felt like we'd known each other for a while. And then I also met Cody and Sean with New Reality, and that was just like insta friends, like just the most warm, fun individuals you could ever ask for. And so it was fun to see the different approaches. Twofold. One is with Cody and Sean, it was really cool to see their take on the sensory deprivation approach. And so seeing them do that together and with their unique approach was really cool. And then doing an actual filmed investigation collaboration with Jade was really cool too, because I'd never done that with somebody who's been doing it before. It's usually me running the show with my friends that I bring with. Seeing her do it, a seasoned vet, I learned a lot. Like the moment we got out of the car, I'm like walking in with my heavy bags, and she's like, "Derek, aren't you gonna stop and take a thumbnail?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I need to take a picture for the thumbnail on YouTube. I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm like, this would be the first thing." Like, I usually just screenshot something from the footage and then mess with it in Canva, but that makes so much more sense. And then just from that point forward, just so much great tips and advice. So those are the two big things I would say.
Cool. And from the weekend, what would you say was the most compelling evidence you saw?
Yeah, so that's been sitting with me for a few days. We were doing the the community, just the general ticket holder investigation at Mackey. And it was Jade with the Ghost Club Paranormal and Sean and Cody with New Reality. And we were getting a lot of interaction with the ghost ball, the cat ball. It kept lighting up. And so they were doing sensory deprivation in the hallway and the upstairs at Mackey Mansion. And so I just decided to throw up my camera and just take some static cam footage for about 12 minutes towards the tail end of the night. But when I reviewed that, within the first minute, there was 3 distinct EVPs. And it was the same voice undercutting it all. And that stuck with me. One of the final things she said was, "Help me." Very, very distinct. And it made me think, holy shit, what if this is all real? What if this is all real? Now what the fuck am I supposed to do? How do I even help this person? What do you want from me? And then it made me concerned, all right, life's a shit show as it is, and at least I have death to look forward to at the end of it all. There's a solace and a respite from the chaos. But Jesus, if I die and I'm still fucking miserable, when does it end, man?
Why is that so real? That's hilarious.
I'm just sitting there, maybe the guy 100 years from now, some other asshole sitting in this office, doing whatever holographic work he does. And I'm over here just sitting here going, "Help me." Been here for 100 years.
So funny.
Can't find the light. I don't know, man. Anyways, it just really stuck with me.
Hilarious.
What happens if this is all real? Then what? Jesus.
Now, do you think that turned you from a skeptic at that moment, or did you try to explain it by looking at your footage? Was everybody accountable for in your mind?
No, because it was there was 7-8 people there.
Yeah, and
there was chitter chatter and stuff. But I'll tell you what, I was by that camera and there was no whispering because we were calling out the whisper every time we heard a whisper. Hey, no whispering. Hey, and no one was close enough to the camera where I was standing for me. And then this is just a silent whisper that's very discernible underneath it all. It's just. I'm gonna post it soon. I sent it to Cody too, but he's being a lazy asshole and he's not reviewing it. And I even gave him the fucking timestamps. He doesn't even have to do any work. Cody, look at this goddamn timestamp.
He's busy with his.
I'll make sure he does it.
I don't give a shit. I got a full-time job too.
Yeah.
Don't do this for a living.
What can we do?
He's like, I'm running out of questions here. How much time do we have left?
I don't write questions down anymore. I just think up stuff.
Just spitball. I mean, no, I'd like to ask a few questions.
Yeah.
This is what we do in an interview, right? For a job. Like, tell me your greatest strength. Well, or greatest weakness. Pull the Dwight Schrute. Well, it's my strength. That's
Where do
my
you see
greatest
yourself with this company in 5 years?
strength. Yeah, fired. No, I mean, I guess I'd like to hear each of your all's experiences. Like, what's the most? Well, first of all, are any of you like skeptics in the sense of me being a skeptic, or are you more like open to the possibility?
I think Brian's the most skeptical, and Mandy's full on medium, and then I'm perfectly in the middle.
Mandy's drank the Kool-Aid. I could tell that for sure.
You're in trouble when the most skeptical person is an alien abductee.
Yes.
Okay, so you have been abducted.
Many times, and it sucks. And I don't want it to happen again.
That is wild, man.
I don't even think Mandy's heard the stories yet, and he's told me once on a very long, dark car ride, and my bones chilled. He has some stories that he keeps very close that are very intense.
I mean, I haven't heard an abduction story that was like a walk in the park. I was like, yeah, well, we got up there and he had Coors Light on the table for me, and we just shot the shit for a while. It sounds intense, man.
Well, I think the people who can't emotionally face what's actually going on are the ones that talk about what a beautiful, life-changing experience it is, and how it's hope for the future. It's like, that's not been my experience at all.
Yeah.
I wonder if it depends on who you get abducted by, like what race, what alien race.
I have only experienced the Greys. Another member of my family has experienced Greys and Little Blues at the same time.
Oh, and now it just gets
There's
chilly.
so many questions.
I don't even know where to begin. That
just this isn't going to be me answering abduction experience questions. That takes a lot of preparation mentally and emotionally.
I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you knew the stories, you would understand. They are very intense.
I can only imagine. But what I will say is it sounds like, as it relates to some of the ghost spiritual stuff, that is more or less you're the most skeptical in the crew, despite some of those other experiences.
But I mean, I've had perceived ghost experiences my whole life too. So
Yeah.
Okay. So you would say you're a believer then?
Not that I don't believe. I'd just like to know more about what it is.
Gotcha.
And whether I used to always try to convince myself, it's just here, it's just me. But I've had too many things in conjunction with other people that I just can't. I can't buy that anymore.
Yeah, you have to put that's kind of where I land is like if I want to experience these things, or if I want to like know some answers here, I at least have to put myself in situations where I can at least encounter something that will lead me to having those experiences in the first place.
Yeah. My biggest thing is if I'm afraid of anything, it must be something there. Like if there's a dark room that's pitch black and I just get chills looking at it, why am I getting chills from it? So I've always made myself go into it to see what is giving me the chills of this room, and I'm always so scared.
It sounds like you have quite the active imagination there, Stephen.
I do, I think. I don't know.
Weren't you were sharing a story about seeing clothes dancing?
That's my childhood story. Didn't
Yeah.
you don't remember that one?
No, I'm just saying I heard it, but I don't think he heard the story.
Did you hear my very first experience? I was a little boy, so young. It was crawling on the floor from my bedroom to my parents' room to get up on my mom's side of the bed and sleep at night. Like pretty little. And I know I moved out of this house in 5th grade, so I was pretty young. And I would crawl in my mom's room and get up on the side of the bed. And I would lay on that outside of the bed, and next to her side of the bed was this couch, which, everybody has a couch in their bedroom that's covered in laundry, but the laundry on the couch, if I couldn't sleep or if I was scared of the dark, I swear the clothes would come off the couch and they would dance for me, and I would lay And I remember laying as a kid, all the time. I know it happened at least 4 or 5 times, but I remember laying as a kid and even having time go like looking around the rest of the room going, I'm awake. I'm right here. Like and these clothes are moving in the dark. Like, and it felt very comforting for those clothes to kind of try to dance me to sleep, I guess. And then Mandy, you might not have heard this part of the story. My brother, who's 5 years older, was terrified in that house. My brother wouldn't go in the basement. He wouldn't go in a closet. He wouldn't go in most back rooms. He slept tight under the sheets because if he looked out of the sheets, he said he would see them. So he was terrified in that house. But whatever was in the house would always comfort me when I would try to fall asleep at night. But I could never sleep in my room because I was too scared. So I don't know. That's my first experience.
That's pretty wild too, man.
Jesus Christ. I think that what I told you was I don't know how clothes moving around could be comforting. Like I feel like I would have been traumatized.
But I was a kid and didn't know it was scary.
Yeah, it's traumatized.
I almost want to say I laughed at them and my dad woke up and put me back in my room. Like, because I was like, ha ha ha, look how fun. Like,
your dad smacked you on the head. Stop messing with the clothes and put them away. I'm like, Dad, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. That's my dad's exact voice.
That's hilarious.
But skeptical. I mean, you have to believe when you're questioning. I think you can't. I've investigated with very skeptical people and it's very kind of boring and mechanical. Like, is anyone here with me? Can you tell me your name? All right, let's go to the next room. Like, it's like, whoa, that's just like, talking to laundry. Oh, laundry, dancing.
talking to laundry. Yeah, no, I mean, you gotta believe in the possibility of it. Otherwise, it's no fun. So as I'm doing this, I'm leaning into, granting some things that I might not believe necessarily, but I'm going along with it to bring, to create the circumstances that I hope would bring about activity or interactions or what have you,
Well, I think, having Mandy be full medium and Brian being very tech, Brian builds a lot of stuff. I think I've seen that it takes both, It takes someone who's sensitive using some of this equipment almost like a lightning rod, to heighten the equipment. They'll only talk to someone who is sensitive that believes. Mandy has caught evidence. Mandy has felt things and said things that we catch evidence that corroborates, back to back.
That's cool.
She'll say things that we find an EVP that says the same thing, or she'll say a name that we find an EVP that says the same name. That's really cool. Remarkable.
That's the kind of stuff I'm hoping to encounter, like that I don't think I'm ever going to know definitively, apart from like seeing an actual apparition that just like disappears in front of my eyes or like getting physically touched by nothing around me.
Yeah.
A part of me is just like, would my brain just try to rationalize that away anyway? So like, but I don't know. I mean, that's the cool stuff, right? Is like when you're seeing mediums picking up on things that are corroborated by EVPs or the spirit box or what have you.
Now, I think Mandy uses more equipment than most mediums I've seen. Right, Mandy?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do both. And I don't think people realize that if you're channeling, right, you're taking in the information, and then I have to go and do something with a piece of equipment. I'm removing myself from that channel. So it's hard to find that balance between equipment and the medium part of things. But I love equipment so much, so I'm not going to not do it. But a lot of mediums don't use equipment because it takes them out of that channel.
But I think it proves it. It proves your.
That's my goal. Is I think that there could be a really beautiful blend between tech and spiritual, which I don't know, for years it's been it's like you're either this or you're that. There's hasn't been a good blend of that. And so I like to show that, we can work hand in hand, mediums and paranormal investigators. And I mean, it's even better to be able to be like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. And then to have, the spirit box, corroborate what I'm saying, or, like what we just talked about.
I mean, like our experience in the kitchen at the Nevada State Prison, I think, is a perfect example of your feelings equaling equipment evidence, but like over and over and over and over. That was so great.
Yeah.
I just started that episode tonight. Got halfway through it, or not halfway. I haven't got to the kitchen yet. I'm probably like maybe 15 minutes in, but I'm excited to finish it now.
Woohoo!
Oh, it was a great experience. That was I still say, of all of our places, everything we've been before HPD, before everything, that was like the best experience I've had. Was that investigation?
That place is insane.
It was a pretty great investigation. It was a really good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you guys, like, what's the best place you've investigated?
It's just that was like one where everything just felt like it all just fit together perfectly. It was like I don't remember there being any issues or controversy or.
I cried a lot. I went to a location and then ran away.
Well, I'm getting used to that. That's nothing. That's nothing unusual.
Well, that was one of the. I went all the way. It's only a brief part in the episode. I go all the way to maximum security. I set up 2 cameras, get all my equipment up. I ask one question, and then I pack it up. I get my cameras, and I just head back out. And it wasn't a fear. It wasn't like I asked a question and it said "get out," and I was like, "Fuck, run!" It was like I asked a question. I'm like, I don't feel safe. Like I should leave. Like it was a very strange feeling. Oh.
Yeah.
Have you had that, Derek? Have you ever been anywhere and just had the vibe change, just something wash over you?
Yeah, a little bit, but I also suffer from anxiety. So I've had panic attacks before, and so it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to discern what's happening that's attributed to physiological, chemical responses versus what's something metaphysical and spiritual that might be impacting me.
My ability to have panic attacks started during the pandemic lockdown. And unfortunately, I still have them now. It's like I didn't have them before.
You locked down hard too,
That's
Brian.
the kicker. I always joked around during the pandemic. I was like, I just can't wait for the pandemic to be over so I can go back to worrying about regular ways to die.
Exactly.
I can't wait till the pandemic is over so there'll be a million more spirits to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like one of my biggest fears is death and dying, obviously, with everything I've outlined. And so I kind of live and have lived with that existential angst for so long that, at least for me during the pandemic, I think that was just like what other people got to experience that I live in daily is like at any point in time, it could be the end. It's over. Like this is a dangerous world. And that's why they make Xanax, man.
It's for some people. I have a 7-year-old, and I can tell when he says the word death, it doesn't matter. He's joking. He says, "I'll kill you, Dad," because he has like a toy gun or something. And you remember being that young and it not being a word that is serious. And then you kind of remember as you grow old when you realize what the word death really means, and how, once death happens, it's over. You never hear that voice again. You never see that person again. And that's a weird thing to accept in life, and then to have this community as a kind of a window to what if you can hear that voice again or see that person. To people who've lost someone, I will not get into it. I had a very emotional experience this weekend. I had a very emotional experience at Mackey Mansion talking about my grandpa. I can't talk too much about it. But just the thought that I could hear his voice or see him again was just that idea washed over me, and it really touched me pretty intensely. And I never thought about that. Like, oh, I could talk to him, see his face again, you know. I don't know where I'm going, but that was just very don't talk about it.
I mean, it sounds like we both had profound experiences because of Mackie. Then we got to get back there, man.
Absolutely. I
Mackie
definitely
is
want
special.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't realize Washoe was so big up there. When we went up the stairs, it just kept going.
I told you, it's huge.
Everywhere I went, rooms kept going. And
I was like, you could be on the 3rd floor and not hear anyone on the 2nd floor.
it was so big. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, we could spend a month in here. We could separate. We could do all kinds of stuff. I definitely want to go both of those locations.
I don't want to investigate the Washoe out of principle because you have to buy the $20 membership for the year to investigate there. I'm like,
I'm a member.
Man. I'm not going to buy your goddamn membership just to go through an investigation there, okay? Out of principle. I'm a ghost hunter with principles, folks.
Don't you see this
I
badge?
saved $2 on my drink because I'm a member.
Oh.
Oh, it stacks up, but you have to pay $20 for the damn membership.
Yeah.
I didn't
get 10
I
drinks.
haven't heard about it.
I have a question. Derek, so because of your anxiety with death and everything, have you tried incorporating that into your investigations? Like,
oh yeah,
like trying to understand what the afterlife looks like to them, and okay, and
yeah.
how's that been so far for you?
I haven't gotten a lot of interaction that has been of consolation, so like I'll straight up say in investigations, like, look, I'm here not to give you a hard time, and I know a lot of people come through and ask you questions, but I'm scared about what happens when I die, and I'm just wondering what you're experiencing. Is there anything that you might be able to share with me that can help me understand what comes after this? Because I'm tired of being scared all the time. Are you scared?
Wow.
And then we got fucking EVPs like, help me. I'm like, okay, that answers it. So that's pretty scary then.
You're worse off than I am.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the EVP of like, quit your bitching. It gets a lot worse from here on out. Like, oh, great.
I mean, yeah, to ask, like, are you scared? Was there fear? Did it hurt? I remember, I think we talked about it a little bit at that pizza dinner. When I first started, all I kept asking was, a long time ago, I would always ask religious questions. Like, have you seen God was always like the first thing I would ask. Like,
I've never thought about that.
Is God real? Have you seen God? That would be like, if anyone would know that answer, it'd be someone who's died. And I never got a lot of evidence with that, as I almost feel like the best evidence is to get something personal from their time period going. Like, and you got to figure out when the time period was through your questions and stuff. But just generic, I never do. What's your name? Talking to this light. They don't know what a light is, most of them. But just talk like they're here and the equipment's not. I have to believe they're there, right? But
yeah, I got this experiment I want to do where I've got 4 trigger objects. I've got like an old Indian toy. I think it was like a toy from based on the Pocahontas movie, the Disney movie, right? Just a little Indian toy. And then a tin of chewing tobacco, a jar of a small bottle of wine, and then a pack of cigarettes. And what I want to do is I want to lay them kind of all spread apart, and then have a K2 meter next to each one, and see if I can get like interaction at one of the trigger objects and not the others, to see if we can kind of like drive where there might be some interest or something.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then like try to expand that approach to like different equipment, like maybe have different voice recorders at different ones and do an EVP session and see if you get a EVP at one object and not another, and keeping track of some of that stuff too. The hard part is that I have certain ideas that I think would be cool just from a paranormal investigative standpoint, But from a content creation standpoint, it might make for some pretty boring content to watch on YouTube. So it's like, how do you toe the line between legitimate and cool experiments, right? And
well, Brian,
content.
Time lapse.
It's time lapse, and explaining the idea with enough intensity, and while you explain it, showing it through, as opposed to doing it slowly, I think helps with stuff like that. So while you're telling, just like you said to us, keep showing all that stuff with faster cuts. It gets people excited, because I used to do this thing with my my spirit box, the SP7. How you can see the numbers. So I would do my spirit box sessions with a notebook, and I would have my spirit box session, and every sound I got, I would write down the radio frequency, and I would try to see if I'm getting the same frequency over and over again. But that was just so tedious and boring, as opposed to walking around trying to chit chat. I ultimately found out it does blurp on every 97.5 or something. But the ones that aren't 97.5, you can trust. And you start to kind of pick up the pattern of when 97.5 have, or whichever frequency is coming through. Now, what stuff do you like to use? What equipment have you found that works best for you? And what have you tried and hated?
What I've tried and hated is I bought a piano mat, like a rollout piano mat.
Like from Big.
Yeah, not as big as that one. It's like a toddler piano mat.
Yeah.
And so I bought one of those, and I thought it was going to be awesome, right? Like somebody's going to step on it, and like what have you. But it ended up being like super annoying because it would shut off after a few minutes.
I would go beep boo boo.
Yeah, and it would make a loud noise, and I was like, God, that scared the shit out of me.
We had that happen, Brian.
The Omen House.
Yes.
Yeah, but I've got a FLIR thermal camera. I've got the spirit box. I got a Bushnell thermal monocular, which is pretty cool for outside. It's night vision if you're doing any outdoor investigations. I've got a lot of the basic tools, right? Like the REM pod, like I said, the spirit box.
Have you ever captured anything on your FLIR? Because I never have.
I would say no until Edinburgh Manor. I caught something that is just. I think, did I show you, Mandy? Remember, I think I showed the outline, the human outline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that one. Who knows what it is, but it's just compelling. It's a human-shaped outline
it looks
there.
Like a human. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Would you say you've caught an EVP yet?
I would have said no until Mackie.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident, though, those will qualify as EVPs. I'm going to post them on Instagram soon, so stay tuned.
Cool. I would say until you... Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I just said cool.
Oh. Until you, you grasp at straws with little sounds until you catch one.
That's just it.
And then it's like EVP drug addict. I'm EVP. I keep my recorder with me almost all the time now for no reason.
Yeah, I've had more luck with the spirit box than
Spirit box,
EVP.
yeah.
Just because obviously you're going to get voices no matter what, because it's the radio. But I've had some interesting interactions where the same name keeps coming through, and it sounds like there's the same voice kind of coming through. And
oh yeah, we've had that. We've had some pretty intense ones.
When you get a full sentence in the same voice, it's not a it's not a blip of a radio frequency.
Right, when it spans multiple channels.
I think the longest one we had was with Brian and Boom in that Pasadena Playhouse. It said, Boom said, "Can you move something?" And it said, "Maybe in time I will do that for you." About that loud through the spirit box. The longest answer I've ever heard.
That's wild.
That was crazy.
I'm always impressed when they can maintain the same vocal tone.
Absolutely.
For hours on end through Spirit Box. I think that's always really impressive.
And it can get frustrating when you're getting the same tone, but you can't make out any of it. You keep hearing the same sounds that are similar in tone, but you're not quite getting the words. Maybe you don't speak the language. Maybe we're not speaking the same thing.
Could be. I want to try some dangerous experiments like electricity and water. Like, let's take the EM pump to the next level and like let's just pour a bunch of water on a floor, put some electricity in that water so it's basically just shooting electricity all over the environment, and let's see what happens. Just don't be near it.
When we were in Queen Mary, we were on the Queen Mary, and Brian walked around the room with a stun gun, just cracking a stun gun, walking around the room trying to electrically charge the air.
Yeah, I've got a dangerous Tesla coil that I use. It's like, well, it's not dangerous. I mean, it's big and it shoots off. It's not like one of those little spinny, cute entertainment Tesla coils. It's actually one that shoots off fucking beams.
Oh, like
yeah, it
Jacob's
smells
ladder?
like
Is that what
smells
that's
like ozone.
Now a good Tesla coil will shoot 5-6 inch bolts of electricity in multiple directions. They're pretty
That's the
cool.
one I got. Yeah,
What's
and
the
it's
Jacob's ladder? The one that goes up.
The booze thing.
The machine that goes bing.
The
not
problem
sure.
with the problem with that is the only way you can make one like portable, because I've done a lot of research on it. The only you can make like a battery one you can carry around that has to be really tiny, and that's not very exciting.
well, no,
You
and the
can
thing
zoom
is,
in
it's so damn loud. I think it actually
Yeah.
scares the spirits away. Like if I was a spirit and I saw it, like, what the fuck is that? And then like I'm like, yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. So what do you have coming up? Do you have any new investigations coming up? You got any trips planned? And what are some goals you have for the next year?
Yeah, so I mean, I have the benefit of not like relying on this for any income or anything like that, so I can go as slow as I need to. Like, there's no incentive I have to like bust my ass to get shit done. So, with that being said, I mean, I've got some things in places I want to go. I rescheduled Indiana State Asylum, which is I just got to reschedule that to a time where I can have someone go with me. I want to travel and meet some other folks for investigations. I don't have anything planned. My girlfriend and I are going out to Bellingham, Washington in November. I'd like to get an investigation on the books there, and I'd like to do something for October, like thanks for Halloween months and stuff. So, short answer to your question: nothing officially on the books, but I'm very impulsive, and shit'll stack up in no time.
Just no plan to quit anytime soon. Just keep
No,
going.
not at all, man. This is I'm in it for the long haul.
Well, if you ever make it to California, we'll take you a few spots, show you some cool stuff.
I would love that, man. I've never been to California, so I'd love to check it out.
You
Well,
gotta come.
You got to.
Hell
When
yeah.
Queen Mary reopens, oh, I can't wait. I'm fiending for the Queen Mary.
Me
We
too.
used to go like 2 or 3 times a year, and that was not investigating. Me and the wife and the kids would just go stay on the
Just
boat.
hang out. Yep.
I just feel comfortable there, and she's been closed for so long.
Yeah, there's a haunted ship here on the Lake Superior that I want to check out. So hopefully get to do that. They actually do like public ghost tours during Halloween months. So I'm gonna see if I can get in for a private overnight tour.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. It has
Yeah,
been
thank
really
you.
great. It was cool talking to you. It was cool meeting you in person. You were so funny and clever. I was like, that's the first guy I want on our show when we get home. So
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think now after the actual episode? You're like, all right, I totally misjudged that guy.
And,
That was
yeah,
a fucking bomb.
you were the first guy I wanted, and I really regret it. I really.
I hate you.
I'm
Please
just-
dislike and unsubscribe at Ghost Room Paranormal.
But I'm so proud of you that you're doing. It's so good, and I can't wait to see your investigations and how serious you take gathering your evidence is impressive. So I can't wait to see all you're gonna do.
Thanks, Steven and Brian and Mandy. It was a pleasure meeting you guys this weekend. And
Sorry,
let's
I'm late.
don't even worry about it, man. I want to hear those alien stories at some point when we get to know each other a bit better. And when I'm in California, I'll for sure hit you guys up. Maybe we can do a group investigation outside of there at some point. Looking
Yes.
forward to it.
Absolutely, sir. Well, have a great night. Thanks for coming.
Y'all as well. Take care, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
What a great guest.
was good.
I
Yeah.
knew when we met him, he was like, this guy's doing it right. He's taking it serious. He's using his equipment. He's focused on all the right stuff. Once again, PEX was such an experience. I'm so glad we all got to go. Anyone listening, there's going to be a lot of content coming from us and all the groups from PEX. So everybody's going to be posting videos and clips and evidence just for a while. You're going to see a lot
Watch
of
it first.
Watch ours first. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Follow the link tree and all our stuff. Subscribe to everything. Have fun. I'm very tired. I know we're all tired. We're all very tired. Was that the thing in said?
Nobody trusts anybody anymore, and we're all very tired.
Yeah, that's what Kurt Russell says. All right, say goodnight, HPD.
Night, HPD.
Good night,
Good
HPD.
night.